Every morning, millions of people put ginger into their juice, tea, or food, convinced they are doing something extraordinary for their bodies. And they are partially right. But here's the problem, and pay close attention to this. Some of these people are using ginger in a way that does not just cancel out all the benefits, but might be causing real harm to their systems. And the worst part? They have no idea. In this video, you will discover exactly when ginger is a powerful medicine, when it becomes a silent poison, and the preparation error that 90% of people make, which literally destroys the plant's most valuable compound. Stay until the end, because the part about dosage could completely change how you use ginger from now on. Ginger, Zingiber officinale, is one of the most studied medicinal plants in human history. It is not hype. It is not a social media fad. Researchers from universities like Johns Hopkins, Harvard, and European institutions have published hundreds of studies over the last 2 decades analyzing exactly what this root does inside the human body. And the results are impressive, but also scary in some cases. Because ginger has 2 sides. One side reduces inflammation, improves digestion, fights nausea, regulates blood sugar, and even has anti-cancer properties according to preliminary studies. And another side, rarely discussed, that can interact with medications in a dangerous way, worsen specific conditions, and, depending on the amount, cause effects that no one wants to feel. Today you will see both sides, unfiltered, with science. I'm going to show you the exact mechanism by which ginger acts in the body, which conditions it actually improves, when it becomes risky, the right dose, the right preparation, and the mistakes people make every day without knowing it. But before we continue, if you want more content like this, based on real science, without the fluff, like this video right now. The YouTube algorithm uses this signal to bring this type of information to more people who need it. And share it with someone you know who takes ginger every day. It might be the most important information they receive this week. Subscribe as well. We post regularly about health with a real scientific foundation. First of all, you need to understand what ginger actually is from a biochemical standpoint, because this is where most people get it dead wrong. When you buy ginger at the market, you are buying a rhizome, technically not a root. It is the underground stem of the plant. And inside this rhizome, there are hundreds of bioactive compounds, but 2 of them are the protagonists of this story. Gingerol. This is the active compound in raw ginger. It is responsible for almost all the benefits documented by science: anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, digestive. Gingerol is powerful, and it is fragile. Here is the point that changes everything. Gingerol is destroyed by heat. When you heat ginger above certain degrees, gingerol transforms into another compound called zingerone, which has a completely different effect profile. And when you dry ginger, it converts into shogal, which is even more potent in some aspects, but acts differently in the body. In other words, the ginger you take in hot tea is not the same ginger you grate raw into a salad. They are different compounds with different effects. This is crucial, and I will show you exactly what to do with that in a moment. But first, let's talk about the mechanism. How exactly does ginger act inside your body? The answer will surprise you. Imagine that inside your body there is an alarm system. It is called the inflammatory response. When you get hurt, when bacteria enter, when you eat something bad, this alarm goes off. That is good. That is how the body defends itself. The problem is when this alarm stays on all the time. Chronic inflammation, silent. And that is where serious diseases start to take hold. Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, intestinal problems, even some types of cancer. Gingerol acts directly on this system. Studies published in the Journal of Medicinal Food and the International Journal of Preventive Medicine show that gingerol inhibits enzymes called COX-1 and COX-2, the same enzymes that pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen and aspirin inhibit. This is not a coincidence. It is biochemistry. The difference? Ibuprofen blocks these enzymes abruptly and generalized. Gingerol acts more gradually, and with far fewer side effects on the stomach and kidneys when used at the correct dose. But here is the point few people know. Ginger also acts on serotonin, the well-being neurotransmitter. Specific serotonin receptors in the digestive tract are blocked by gingerol, which is why it is so effective against nausea, including pregnancy and chemotherapy nausea. Clinical studies confirm this. And there is more. Ginger stimulates the production of saliva, gastric acid, and bile, everything you need for efficient digestion. For those with slow digestion, a feeling of bloating after meals, or functional heartburn, this combination is powerful. Now pay attention to this, because this is where things get interesting in an unexpected way. This same action on the digestive system that is a remedy for some can be a serious problem for others. Let's talk about the side no one wants to discuss. Ginger is natural. Natural does not mean harmless. Arsenic is natural. Hemlock is natural. The question is never, is it natural? The question is always, in what amount, for whom, and with what? And here are the situations where ginger can cause real harm. The first and most serious is the interaction with blood thinners. Gingerol has anticoagulant properties. It inhibits platelet aggregation. In healthy people, this can be beneficial for cardiovascular health. But, and this but is huge, if you take warfarin, heparin, daily aspirin, clopidogrel, or any other blood-thinning medication, ginger in high amounts can boost the effect of these drugs and increase the risk of bleeding in a dangerous way. Systematic reviews published in the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology document this interaction. This is not theory, it is clinical data. If you take blood thinners, consult your doctor before using ginger regularly or in high doses. Second, gallstones. Ginger stimulates the production and release of bile. For those with slow digestion, this is great. For those with gallstones, stones in the gallbladder, this can trigger an extremely painful biliary colic crisis. If you have been diagnosed with gallstones, ginger in large amounts is not for you. Third, reflux and GERD. There is an interesting contradiction here. In low doses, ginger can help digestion and reduce certain types of functional heartburn. But in high doses, it can relax the lower esophageal sphincter, the valve between the esophagus and the stomach, and worsen acid reflux. People with severe GERD need to be careful with concentrated ginger, especially supplements and extracts. Fourth, pregnancy. Special attention here. Low doses of ginger are widely considered safe and effective for nausea during pregnancy, and this has solid scientific support. But high doses, especially above 1 gram per day for prolonged periods, raise safety questions, and some observational studies suggest caution in the first trimester. Pregnant women should consult their doctor, always. And fifth, hypoglycemia in medicated diabetics. Ginger has a hypoglycemic effect. It lowers blood sugar. This sounds great at first glance, but if you are diabetic and use insulin or metformin, combining these medications with ginger in high doses can drop your sugar too low, which is a medical emergency. Now you understand the risks, but the good news is most of these situations are easy to avoid when you know the right dose. And that is exactly what comes next. Let's get to the good side, and it is very good. For most healthy people without the conditions I mentioned, ginger is one of the most versatile and well-documented dietary interventions there is. A 2015 study published in Osteoarthritis and Cartilage showed that ginger extracts reduced inflammatory markers in patients with knee osteoarthritis, with results comparable to ibuprofen in some parameters, but with better gastrointestinal tolerance. This is extraordinary, because pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories in chronic use cause serious damage to the stomach and kidneys. Ginger, in appropriate doses, does not. Of all the benefits of ginger, the antiemetic effect against nausea is the most scientifically solid. Systematic reviews with more than 1,200 participants confirm that ginger significantly reduces nausea caused by pregnancy, chemotherapy, post-surgery, and motion sickness. The effective dose studied, between 500 milligrams and 1 gram per day. There is no need to overdo it. Studies published in the Journal of Ethnic Foods and in evidence-based complementary and alternative medicine show that ginger powder, from 1 to 2 grams per day, reduce fasting blood sugar and glycated hemoglobin in people with type 2 diabetes. The mechanism. Gingerol improves glucose uptake by muscle cells in a similar way, but much gentler, to what metformin does. Note, this does not replace medication, but as a nutritional adjunct, the potential is real. And about anti-cancer properties. This needs care and honesty. In vitro and animal studies show that gingerol and shogal induce apoptosis, programmed death, in cancer cells, including colorectal, breast, and pancreatic cancer cells. This is promising, but human studies are still limited. There is not enough evidence to say that ginger treats or prevents cancer in humans. What exists is a scientific base that justifies further research. But do you know what is more important than any individual benefit? Knowing how to use ginger the right way. And most people are literally wasting the ginger they buy. I'm going to show you exactly what to do very soon. Let's talk about real results. What happens to your body when you start using ginger consistently and correctly? In the first 3 to 5 days, you may notice improvement in post-meal digestion, less bloating, more regular intestinal transit. This happens because ginger stimulates gastric motility. The stomach empties more efficiently. Some people feel a slight burning in the stomach in the first few days, especially if used on an empty stomach. This is normal and passes. If it persists, use it with a meal. In the first week, if you have mild chronic pain or stiffness, especially joint stiffness, you may start to notice a subtle reduction in intensity. The anti-inflammatory effects are not immediate like ibuprofen. They are gradual. After 2 to 4 weeks of consistent use, this is where systemic effects become more evident. Intervention studies use periods of 4 to 8 weeks to measure results in blood sugar, inflammation, and pain. And it is in this interval that most participants report measurable improvement. With 2 to 3 months of regular use, inflammatory markers, such as C-reactive protein, show a reduction in long-term studies. The cumulative effect of ginger as part of an anti-inflammatory diet begins to become physiologically significant. The key: consistency. Ginger is not a crisis medicine. It is a long-term therapeutic food. Now let's get to what matters: what you should do in practice. Most clinical studies with positive results use between 1 and 3 grams of ginger per day, whether fresh, dried, or as an extract. 1 gram of fresh ginger is roughly equivalent to a 1 centimeter piece of rhizome. 1 gram of ginger powder is approximately half a teaspoon. Do not exceed 4 grams per day without medical guidance. Remember what I said at the beginning about the compounds? This matters a lot in practice. Raw ginger has a higher concentration of gingerol, better for anti-inflammatory and antioxidant benefits. Use it grated in salads, cold juices, or as a shot. Do not heat it. Ginger in tea, heated, converts gingerol into zingerone, which has a good digestive effect and works for nausea, but is different from raw. It is still useful. And dried or powdered ginger has a higher concentration of shogal, more potent as an anti-inflammatory in some studies. Most people are literally wasting ginger by boiling it for 20 minutes. You destroy important compounds. Ginger tea should be prepared with hot water, but not boiling, about 80 to 90 degrees, and infused for 5 to 10 minutes. Do not boil the ginger. Now for the most common mistakes. Mistake number 1, boiling the ginger for too long. It destroys gingerol. You are drinking ginger-scented water tea without the main benefits. Mistake number 2, using old ginger powder. After 6 months open, the powder loses up to 50% of its active compounds. Buy in small quantities and store in a dark, closed container. Mistake number 3, thinking more is better. Ginger does not work on a linear scale. 1 to 2 grams per day is effective. 10 grams per day is a guaranteed digestive problem and potentially dangerous. Mistake number 4, ignoring drug interactions. If you use any medication regularly, consult your doctor before using ginger therapeutically. Mistake number 5, expecting fast results. Ginger is not ibuprofen. The benefits are real, but gradual. Consistency is everything. So, ginger, medicine or poison? The honest answer is both. Depending on who uses it, how much they use, how they use it, and what they combine it with. For most healthy people, ginger is one of the most versatile and well-documented functional foods there is, with real benefits for inflammation, digestion, nausea, blood sugar, and cardiovascular health, when used correctly. For people with specific conditions, especially those who use blood thinners, have gallstones, or medicated diabetes, ginger requires care and medical supervision. And preparation matters more than most people imagine. Raw ginger, the correct tea, the right dose. These are simple details that make a huge difference in the results. If you ignore what you learned here, you will probably continue using ginger the wrong way, just like 90% of people do, wasting money, time, and maybe even creating risks that could be easily avoided. If this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know about ginger, like it now. This helps the algorithm bring this information to other people who are using it wrong every day without knowing it. Subscribe to the channel. We do this regularly. We take a food or supplement that everyone thinks they know and show what the science actually says. No agenda, no product sales, no hype. And tell me in the comments, do you use ginger? How? Raw, tea, capsules? Were you making any of the mistakes I showed here? I really want to read your response. Curiosity about the next video. I'm going to take a food that is considered unanimously healthy by most people and show the side that no one discusses. It could be that you are eating it the wrong way too. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Until then, take good care of your health with quality information.